David's daughter Tamar was a beautiful princess whose unique and uncommon beauty stood out to many. She had especially caught the attention of her elder brother named Amnon. He was obsessed with everything about her. Amnon was mesmerized by her presence and in awe of her looks, so much so that he wanted her all to himself. Amnon lured Tamar to be alone with him, and after she fought for her life and her virginity, Amnon overpowered Tamar and raped her. Tamar was now unmarriable even though she was the king's daughter because she was not a virgin. Although she was a good and pure woman, her half-brother destroyed her purity. Due to his lust and obsession with Tamar, Amnon had developed the ultimate scheme to get Tamar in arm's reach. Amnon convinced his father, King David, that he was very ill and needed Tamar to prepare the burial before his eyes. The interpretation of assistance Amnon was requesting can often be confused. Some may question why King David did not hire any cook in the palace to prepare food for Amnon. The answer must be in the nature of the burial itself. The word comes from the root meaning fat or healthy and may mean a healing substance. Furthermore, the burial is not simply a food, and making it is not simply an act of cooking. It is in the preparation of a medical concoction. Perhaps we could speculate the princesses of the realm were instructed in the creation of the healing foods. As a result of Tamar being capable of creating this healing concoction, it only made sense for her to tend to Amnon's needs. The capability of Tamar to make the burial for Amnon resulted in King David falling into Amnon's devious scheme. The story of the rape of Tamar was eye-opening for me, and it changed my perception of how women in the Bible were treated. Growing up, I've heard brief stories of few women in the Bible, like Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, and Ruth, but I was never told the story of Tamar, and I'm beginning to understand why. Tamar's story was not pretty. It was sad and humiliating, but it was real. Women in the time of Tamar were treated as though they were less than men. Ultimately, from my research, I've interpreted that women were used by men. If the actions of Amnon took place today, he would be punished, rather than Tamar, the victim. As a result of the power Amnon possessed, he knew his actions would be hidden and forgotten to protect his family's name. This is not just the case for Amnon. It was the case for any man with power at the time. Women like Mary Magdalene, Ruth, and Tamar did not stand a chance defending themselves against the men's wishes. While I am disgusted by the actions of Amnon, I am inspired by the courage of Tamar. The artist of this painting is Gerard de Lares. He was a Dutch Golden Age painter. Many artists have a medium they are known for. Lares's medium was painting. Lares was a classical painter and was quite skilled at depicting scenes in history, which is much like the painting I chose to interpret. The painting of Amnon and Tamar depicts an uncomfortable and fearful Tamar trying to get out of the grasp of her brother Amnon, as he tried to rape her. Notice Tamar is wearing a light blue dress. In biblical times, light blue represents virginity and purity, which Tamar was until her brother violently stole her virginity. Another accurate representation that the artist depicts is the broken vases on the ground and how the room looks as though there was a fight or a struggle that had taken place. The struggle was Tamar trying to get away from her half-brother Amnon, as she was trying to protect her purity. The struggle displays the unwillingness Tamar had to be in the arms of her half-brother. During the time of the Bible, men and women dressed modestly, so to have Amnon almost completely unclothed displayed his intentions. To conclude, Tamar was a victim, an innocent woman taken advantage of by a man of power. Although Tamar had nothing she could do to change her fate, Tamar faced her trials and tribulations with courage and independence, much like the other women in the Bible. Unfortunately, living under a man's power was the way of the world during the time of the Bible, and women were expected to do as they were told by the men in their life. As a result, women like Tamar were raped, abused, and used for the needs of men.